सावित्री माँ कहीं पर माँ छूट गया तोरा तक छूट गया पर नहीं छूट गया पर सावित्री छूटी ना गए कहाँ सोमवती के बाबा से करके गए
Excuse me, ma'am, your voice is not audible.
Hi, am I audible now? I would request all of you to please mute your mics to ensure seamless sessions. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, ma'am. Now it's audible.
Thank you,
Kritika. Everybody, except for the host and the speakers, I would request you to mute your mics. Thank you. Greetings, guests, faculty members, and students. I'm Kritika Khandelwal, Associate Program Manager for TechSaksham, and your host for the evening. Welcome to the SAP-led expert session on the topic, How to Navigate Your Career in IT Ecosystem, Importance of Future Skills under the TechSaksham program.
This meeting is being recorded.
Our guest speaker and the Chief Operating Officer of SAP Labs India, Mr. Mohammed Anzi, is here to guide us and share his experienced outlook on the future of tech as a profession. We're so glad to have you, sir. Anzi joined SAP almost 15 years ago as a developer and is currently the Chief Operating Officer for the organization. He has pursued his education from prestigious institutions like IIM Kozhikode and NIT Calicut. Since he started his own journey with a startup, he's naturally more passionate about new ventures and believes in the power of technology to build transformational companies that fuels our progress. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Along with him, we have with us a constant support and pillar of strength, Mr. Gunjan Patel, Head Regional Director of Indian Subcontinent at SAP. Gunjan, who's vocal about digital inclusion and democratization of tech, has been an alumnus of renowned institutions like Tata Institute of Social Service and IIM Calcutta. He's been professionally active for nearly 2 decades now and is the co-founder of TechSaksham. We're glad to have you here, sir. And the most important part of this session, with whom this session would not have been possible, are our faculties and students. Welcome, everybody. I hope you take away really great knowledge and insights from this program. Thank you so much for joining. A little brief about the program before we move ahead. TechSaksham aims at skill development of young women from government and government-aided colleges and universities. These students are keen on learning the future skills, and often the only element missing in their journey is access to quality education resources. TechSaksham works to bridge that gap for them and assist their journey as future tech professionals. This session is actually organized with the similar aim of providing them with a window into the professional world of information technology. I would now like to invite Gunjan to lead the session and help our students navigate their career in tech. Gunjan, please. I think there's some issue with his network. Let's wait. Meanwhile, I think we can hear a few words from Mr. Anzi. How is he feeling? Is he excited to share his knowledge with the students?
Hey, Kritika. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Super. Thank you. And it's great to be part of this session. I mean, it's personally also something that I really believe in. And I thought when Gunjan shared that we have an opportunity to talk to a large number of colleagues, other people. I think that I thought I would just join this forum and then share my experience over the last couple of years in the industry, and also the perspective about where the industry is moving. I think that's something that I would briefly touch upon, and then we'll have an open conversation. I'm really excited to hear your stories, hear about what you are planning to do, and again, also address some of the questions and queries that you have is something that I'm looking forward to. Good. I think I have one short slide where I would like to share, but I hope you can see my screen.
We can see your screen.
Absolutely. Super. Thanks, Kritika. I think all of us are part of a larger India story that all of us believe in, right? I mean, the last couple of years or last couple of quarter has been really, really amazing, right? I mean, what traditionally happening in India as a country, right? Just to give you some numbers, we have the largest identification platform with Aadhaar, which is completely built on a large scalable tech stack. We also have the largest fintech ecosystem. If you look outside across the globe, we have the largest fintech space where I would say 64 or 60, close to 60% of our transactions are happening through the digital way. I think, and then
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Anzi. I think your voice is a little feeble. If you could speak a little louder, that would be very helpful.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yeah, it's a little better, yes.
Okay, yeah. So it is. We also have the largest fintech space where it's almost close to 60% of the transactions are happening through your mobile or the different digital means. And this happened in the last several years, right? Through incremental innovation happening, and the biggest factor is also that these are changes or innovations which was brought together by the government itself, right? If you look at Aadhaar or fintech space, there is a very significant intervention by the government in terms of enabling that ecosystem. And that clearly shows the trajectory where we are shifting towards, right? India as a country, India as a nation, we are moving from an exporter of technology to really a consumer of technology, right? And that's a core statement that I really like to make it, because we are completely reimagining the way technology is being used. And wherever you go, I mean, even when you actually go to a passport Seva Kendra to get the passport, or to a center, local center where you need to get the registration of birth or any other certificate, you would always see the infusion of technology in all these places, right? And I fundamentally believe that this is the time, and this is the time where you would see a larger jumpstart happening in terms of the growth of India. And we are very bullish on what's happening. To just back it up, I would just like to share, I will not go individually to each of these numbers, but really look at where we are heading towards, right? We have the largest, I would say, emerging SaaS industry, close to a 1 trillion market opportunity is in the making. And 63% of the talent, right, especially talents like you coming from the different institutions, right, and work on different IT and IT-enabled services. And a lot of these roles, right, I mean, software development, architect, DevOps, and security and product operations, I think these are a lot of spin-off happened in the last couple of years. And that's very, very important. And if you look at the public cloud, there is a larger narrative around moving to cloud. Like a lot of organizations and services are really moving towards the cloud model. And you would see that a huge spending, large spending happening in the cloud, especially close to 4.4 billion spending happening in 2021 alone. And discount everything. And if you would just look at the startup space, right, we have close to 100 startups we can't have in the ecosystem. And in the last 2 years, right, I think of the fact that we have seen almost 60% of the startups. I think this is fundamentally boils down to the culture that we all in, right? We see challenges as an opportunity. We see every challenge as an opportunity to create an incremental value, incremental innovation, and deliver that to a larger company. I think that's the power that we want to do. That each one of us has a huge opportunity out there, and the moment you see as a challenge, I think that's where you should really look at how do I turn and shift this challenge to a larger opportunity where I could create a model, or I could create a business, or I could create an opportunity for another set of people out there. I think that's very fundamental in what we are doing and what we are looking at. If you look at the technology sector, right? I mean, in the last several years, there are different varieties of different versions of opportunities which are getting created, and it doesn't get restricted to very specific job profiles, right? And I think that's fundamental, and that's a very fundamental shift. Second is also access to information, right? I mean, previously we had to go traditionally to a specific school to learn something, and it's very in the sense that we have to get plugged into a specific. But now with the access to internet and access to large set of information, the open universities are available. All of us have equal opportunities in terms of learning, in terms of building something, and in terms of skilling ourselves. I think that should be the fundamental thing all of us really should look at. It could fundamentally all of us could be from different places, and we are from different engineering institutions, but that should not be a limiting factor. The opportunity is out there, and there are opportunities to learn and upskill ourselves and completely leverage those opportunities. Right? If I have to learn something at the point of time, I just go to a YouTube and search for something, right? And immediately you will get a snippet of conversation you learn from different experts right out here, right? And the whole system around virtual universities and mass open universities and the courses is actually creating a large system. So I think we have very significant opportunities. We have, for sure, there are challenges, but as a country, as a nation, as each one of us, we have that culture in ourselves, right, to challenge these challenges and to convert those challenges to a larger opportunity that we all do. Right. Just to explain my personal story, I come from Kerala. I come from a small village in Kerala, which had only one government school. I studied in a government school, which was traditionally a Malayalam medium, right? A significant population of my friends used to come to the school to actually not to learn, but get access to a couple of meals a day, right? We used to have a free meal system, and for me, access to information, access to a larger conversation was beyond the scope, right? And I still remember when I was in +1 and +2, I used to travel. I used to get up at 3 in the morning and then catch a bus.
I am so sorry. I would request the students to mute their mics, please.
Yeah, so and then travel close to 2.5 hours to reach to the next city center to learn about different subjects. I think that's fundamentally defines me, right? I mean, it was not an easy journey for all of us, right? I mean, we come from, some of us will have access to quality education, some of us will have access to larger ecosystem of. Yeah, so I think those will be there. And yeah, those information, those disparities would exist, and what clearly defines each one of us is our ability to come beyond these restrictions and go beyond go behind these opportunities to really pursue and scale, right? I mean, that's fundamentally all of us are believing in, right? I think that's one core message that I have for each one of you. Please do not be bound by what's happened in the past, where you come from, and where you did your graduation or the studies. But fundamentally, what should drive you forward is our ability to learn, upskill, and reimagine what's around us. And that core, in terms of dreaming the future, dreaming, making sure that there is a future ahead and there is a bright future for each one of us, is the fundamental belief that each one should pursue and go in. And that should be the motto. And if you see if you see the opportunities which are out there, there are immense opportunities for each one of us.
बोला वो था ना, जब तक ना टरब हम घर से तब तक कर नहीं रहा.
We should pursue it.
I think we have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I will take a pause here, Kritika, and if there are any questions, I'm again happy to take it off.
We have a lot of questions for you, Anji, and especially now that you've shared your journey, it becomes even more interesting. But because I've been talking to a lot of students from TechSaksham, and most of them have had a similar journey, so they relate to you, and they would obviously love to know that how to, there's especially in Indian education system, there's a title of your college, the kind of college you graduate from, and that's how most of the companies, filter out their hiring procedures. So how do we, as students, how do these students move beyond that filter and stand out in a, rat race filled with very high-profile colleges?
Yeah, I think that's some of the. I mean, I would firmly believe that there should be a larger deconstruction should happen around your academic qualifications, right? I mean, for sure, I think it matters to some extent, but I think there is the larger intent beyond that, right? I mean, I think what probably all of us, including me, probably we have to is the fact that the constant upskilling, right? I mean, and again, looking at opportunities and seizing those opportunities and build things. That's across happening. I mean, if you look at a lot of this, very significant amount of startup founders are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities, towns who do not have access to a very qualified educational system, right? I mean, I think that's fundamentally happening. You have immense amount of examples out there, but there is a action which needs to happen from each one of us, right? I mean, do not wait for opportunities to come. You should really keep reinventing yourself. And if you see something that these are the tech trends which are happening out there, there is a larger inclination towards machine learning, artificial intelligence, and topics around product engineering, development operation. I think probably try to get some skilled on and on these topics. Try to do some open projects which are immensely available in the internet, and try to do some projects which are available in the GitHubs and open source portals. I think then you kind of build a network, and there is a lot of information available over the internet to upskill yourself and learn some of the skills. Right? So I think the moment you say that we have to really kind of showcase that the institution's name or the qualification, I think that's getting deconstructed at this point of time, and you should not wait for someone to give you an opportunity, but rather to pursue what are the challenges out there, which are the upcoming topics, technologies out there, and then try to upskill yourself, do open projects, and then you will have a larger exposure, and then your work would speak for you, and not your background or the titles and where you are from, right? And I think that's very fundamental. And the one thing which I believe very closely is the fact that what makes you run is your own understanding about your past. That I come from such a background, but I always need to improve myself. It's a journey of improving ourselves every day. I mean, you don't have to compete with someone else out there. You have to compete with yourself. And tomorrow, I should make sure that tomorrow I'm a better person. better increment of myself, right? I have done a 10% increment of myself for tomorrow, irrespective from the technology point of view, from the learning perspective, and from a different skills perspective. I think that has to be, the competition is not towards someone else out there. The competition is inside, and you have to upskill yourself. And if you believe that, then half of the battle is won.
I think that's pretty great and pretty doable. That you have to be just 10% better than what you are today, and that's how you'll reach your goal of success.
Totally.
I think I would like to invite program manager, senior program manager Sandeep Kaur. She's the senior program manager for TechSaksham to ask a question to Mohammed Anzi. Sandeep.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Hi, Anzi. Good evening. My name is Sandeep Kaur, and we are part of this TechSaksham initiative moderated by SAP and Microsoft. So first of all, we welcome you. And I take this as an opportunity to ask you questions that relates to, these are actually the queries from students which they want to ask and which they want to get an expert answer from. So there are a few questions that I would like to ask you here. So the first question is, what factors, I'm talking in context to the students. So students are generally, they have this question that what factors should I consider while choosing a particular career pathway? So we want your guidance and your expertise on the same.
Yeah, I think a lot of us really pick up career based on the references that we have or exposure that we have towards the network, right? I mean, fundamentally, when I was doing my schooling, I didn't have much option. Either you have to go to an engineering degree or a medical degree, I think. And then you kind of look at engineering as an option. Then once you do an engineering, then you kind of get to decide, okay, now I have done the base. Now should I look at what should be done next? I think that fundamentally you need to change is my core belief, right? The biggest driver for your career should be in terms of your exposure, and that doesn't happen overnight, right? I mean, you really need to feel engaged into a couple of these topics, and then only you will be able to get that exposure. So probably if you really look at the science and technology space, right, you have huge opportunities, different options and different permutations out there. And even if you just look at the software development cycle, you have software development, you have the core computing as an option, also the architecture, development operations, product management, security, and it's a very diverse world, right? I mean, what fundamentally you should really look at is the clear fact about getting exposed to some of this at the earliest stage, because typically what happens is that you start from point A, then you experience that, then you kind of realize that it's not really my forte, and then I have to move to a point B. I think the earlier that you do, the better, right? And that's the only advice that. And probably one thing which I would say, what works for me may not work for you, and what works for someone else will not work for some other person. So you need to get exposed to these specific areas early in your early career or during your studies to get a very rightful decision. Otherwise, what traditionally happens is that you pick up some topic, and then once you start doing something, then you realize that I'm not good at it. So in short, when we are actually picking up your graduation, get exposed to some of these larger topics, and do not restrict yourself to a very specific domain or area. Keep expanding your horizon, and that way you get to learn a lot of things. Just to tell you an experience from my side, in the last 15 years at SAP, I have changed my profile 9 times, which means that I have to, every time I kind of pick up something, I'm completely brand new in that profile, right? And the world is also changing heavily, right? And you will not be able to, some of these options which you see now in the slide may not be even relevant in the next 5 years, after 5 years, right? So everything is very fluid, everything is very transforming at a very higher pace, and that fundamentally you need to understand, and that should be the core of what you think and do. Do not restrict yourself to one specific domain. Keep exploring, and then you will have a wider view in terms of where you want to pursue, where the skills are complementary, right? And the third advice that I have: do not go behind numbers, the financial benefits that you are going to get if you pick up a specific vertical. Go behind your passion and the impact that you can create with that specific technology, right? I spent 15 years with SAP, not because of the economic factors, for sure it actually plays, but the impact our products and solutions are creating for the market, right? 70% of the world's GDP run through SAP systems. And that's so proud. I mean, every day when I get to hear about customers using SAP to change, to process payrolls, to process procurements, to release purchase orders, to simplify business operations. And that's something that keeps me alive. And that's something that keeps my energy levels high. I think that should be the motto. I mean, if you have the right passion and if you earnestly believe in what you're doing, that fundamentally changes everything that you are doing. And again, then what happens is that you will not see what you do on a daily basis as a work. It's an extension to your passion, and that changes. And that can only happen not through Ansi preaching about a specific vertical, but it can happen only when you get exposed to different technologies and scenarios. And then you will choose, and you will choose your path. So in short, get exposed to whatever you could in terms of the technology, then you will see, you will find a passion out there, and then you will build a career on there.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for a wonderful insight. So my next question is, what were few of the most defining moments in your professional journey?
Yeah, for me, I think some of the changes in the professional journey come organically because you make a decision, and second is someone else gives you an opportunity, and then they get you exposed into some of this, right? I think that's that's something that I really remember, because when I moved from development, I was doing a development project, and then I got exposed to a senior leader who was doing something else with respect to a larger portfolio. And then during that conversation, what happened to us, he asked me and said, do you want to do something different? And what happened is that I didn't process too much. I mean, I was just thinking, oh, it's a great opportunity. Why should I let it go? And it also gives me a flexibility to try something different. And there, I think that changed my entire perception about customers, about technology, about things I could do, right? I think each one of us will have those defining moments. Just that whether you seize those opportunities and move ahead, or you really look back on your different larger boundary conditions and say that I don't want to pick it up, I'm very comfortable, like I will do that. I think that fundamentally has to change, right? Or each one of you, I think all of you are out there, you will have a lot of responsibility, you will have boundaries of different boundaries and situations out there. But I think what fundamentally we should really believe in the fact that the world tomorrow would be much bigger, much better, and much more vibrant. And that spirit, if you have, I think you should really seize those opportunities which come your way. So what could go wrong? And fundamentally, what could go wrong is that you may go back to your previous levels, or you may go one level below. But again, that gives you a flexibility, right? It gives you a flexibility to say that I know how deep or down I could go. Again, I will bounce back. And that's a very fundamental belief you should have. Seize those opportunities, try out and experiment with new opportunities which are coming. There is always a learning, right? There is always a learning. And experience on the same side is also learning in terms of, right, experience is a collection of failures that you have in your journey, right? I see it that way. Something did not work. And you again build on those experiences to again climb different opportunities out there. So again, for me, the defining moment, I mean, it's multiple of them, but the first moment I believe is where I let go of one profile that I had and picked up another profile, and that clearly gave me a different perspective about pursuing opportunities and again freeing your and getting freed up from the restrictions and different mind blocks that we have. I think that's something that all of us also need to pursue. You are muted.
Sorry. So now generally the question that students ask, and the question is focusing on our next 5 years. What are the key future skills, topics, technologies that are important to build competencies on? So this is one of the favorite questions that comes from students most of the time.
Yeah. I think one of the core skills I think all of us need to be really looking at the data. How do you process large amount of data and turn into insights and information, right? So we are in a world where there are very significant infusion of devices, interconnected devices, conversation happening, and there is a large set of data which is created in petabytes. It's not humanly possible for us to process this data and create insights out of it. And that's a great opportunity for all of us, right? With artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science as a portfolio. I think if you really look at the convergence of this would create a lot of opportunities for us to reimagine how data could be used. I think that's one topic, especially in the technology sector, you should really invest into. Really look at how can you actually look at data as an enabler, as an insight creator for processing your decision. And there is a huge opportunity out there as data scientists, artificial intelligence engineer, and machine learning specialist. I think that's fundamentally something that you should really upskill on. I would not say next 5 years, probably the next 2 years is going to be very crucial for all of us to really get insights out of this data and expose that for decision making. It's already happening, but there is still a very significant time for us to learn, upskill ourselves into these technologies.
Thank you very much. So I think you said it right. Not 5 years, but yes, next 2 years, because technology is fastly evolving and it's the thing that changes a lot. So now the next question comes from students again. What is an ideal work day for you in office? How do you spend your day in office? And this is somewhere these students would feel that yes, at some point in time, we would also be working in these organizations, and this is how we would be spending our day. So could you just describe in brief to all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. So my day starts little early. So I think what fundamentally all of us believe is also the fact that your mind will function well when your body is able to do it, right? So I start little early, do some little bit of exercises, and then kind of get refresh myself, and then I head to office. So after a break of almost 18 months, we have resumed all our offices, and so again, I reach office and then connect with some of my team and have a coffee over some conversation. I think these conversations do matter a lot, right? Catch up for a coffee, get new ideas, new conversation, new learning opportunities, right? And then look at the calendar of meetings, which are the meetings that are available there. Really set, because before every meeting, you really need to prepare ourselves, right? I mean, you need to look at what's the outcome that you really expected out of a meeting, right? And in most of the meetings, I kind of more of a listener. I really look at what are the problem statement, what are the opportunities out there, and get to hear different and diverse perspective from my colleagues and team members, and then kind of see opportunities where I could contribute. In the sense that if they need an extra pair of hands and some decision making or some support, I look at those opportunities where I could help the team members and other colleagues, and then I pitch in wherever it's needed. Then probably we'll have some customer conversations which are happening. There may be customer meetings that are happening. I get introduced to the customers and we'll have a short conversation and then take them through the journey at SAP and what are the different things available there. Then probably during the lunchtime, I catch up with my teammates or some of the colleagues and go for a lunch together and then have some conversations. And then again come back, look at my schedule and what are the pending work that are out there for me to close. I kind of eat, and then evening bit of time we spend with connecting with different colleagues and having some of the discussion outside work in terms of technology, in terms of things that we could do. So one thing which I religiously make sure is that every day I get a blocker, the meeting blocker, to talk to someone whom I don't know. Maybe it's the first meeting that I have. So that incrementally gives you a network, able to establish a network of people that you are well connected with. Right? It could be a fresher who has joined the organization, or it could be a leader who is there. So I get 15 to 20 minutes a blocker and talk to them, their experiences, and learn from them. That's very huge, and these conversations actually gives you a better learning than any other platforms or systems could give. Talking directly to some of your colleagues and getting inspired from this, then it's very that's how it goes. And towards 4:35, I really look at what's planned for the next day and then plan my schedule based on that.
Thank you very much. You spoke about networking that you say is very important for us. So now the next question is related to this. How important, in case you could just let us know, what is the impact of networking? How important is networking in technical field?
I think it's extremely important, not just at the workplace, even when you are doing studies, right? A lot of our learnings is through your peers, right? I mean, it's not just coming from the textbook, but the moment you discuss some opportunity, something on what you studied, and all of us will have different personas and different definitions of what's coming out, right? I think that conversation with your colleagues or with your classmates would inspire you. I think it's very crucial, right? Be connected with the people around you and understand and also empathize some of these conversations, right? Some of the conversation may not be in the context that you are operating on, but then it gives you fresh perspectives on things. I think that's extremely important. So we call it networking, but sometimes in what you used to do in campus is group studies and group assignments and conversation where we exchange thoughts and conversation on different topics. Right? I think that's extremely important to learn, because for me, fundamentally, I believe the learning through your colleagues and friends is much more powerful than what you learn from another medium. That's extremely important.
Thank you very much. Now the next question we have is, why is upskilling the fundamental for career growth? These students are definitely skilled on few technologies on IR 4.0. So they need to reskill and upskill themselves at certain point in time. So why is it so necessary for them?
I did my graduation in computer science. The language that I learned was Fortran 77. I still remember. I can still code, right? But if you ask me if I can create larger application with Fortran 77 at this point of time, absolutely not. I cannot do that, right? I mean, so I have learned Python. I can use Python to create apps now. I learned ABAP, which is an SAP proprietary language. So I mean, I think that clearly shows, right? I mean, every year you will see new emergence of new technologies and things which are coming. And that's very fundamental. You need to keep learning new stuff. At the same time, one of the very discounted factors that we always discount is the fact that things related to unlearning, right? A lot of your practices also need to be unlearned and making sure that there is enough space for you to learn new topics. So your outside context is completely changing. The way I would develop a web application 4 years back or 2 years back is completely very different from what I and that clearly defines the need for upskilling, right? And if you make upskilling a culture, right, what traditionally happens is that you can create magic. Uh, so on the job, on the run, you could learn topics, technology, and then create magic out of that. So I think building that culture of learning, unlearning, and learning is extremely, extremely important. And please do not discount that. It has to be part of the culture that you build in because you are early in your career, early in your journey. So please infuse those culture in what you everything that you do, and then you will see that there is a huge incentive that you get out of that. So again, to be very simple, the context outside is reinventing every day. And for sure, if you have to be relevant in that context, the new context of tomorrow, you need a new technology, new tool out there to pursue that.
Thank you, NZ. Thanks a lot for your question. Now, last but not the least, what is your key message for the students who are listening to you, who are watching the live stream here, who are looking forward to be like you actually, who feel in next 2 to 3 years or 4 to 5 years they will be working somewhere, they'll be part of this workforce. So what is the message that you would like to deliver to these students? What is your, I would say, mantra for them?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I think it's a journey that each one of us has to explore and find out. It's purely hard work. It's something which is behind from everything that we do. I think you have to put in effort, explore the world outside, pursue new opportunities, and sometimes change from being comfortable to being going to a territory which is completely uncomfortable, right? And that's something that all of us and that's common across all the journeys that we do, right? I mean, I told you, right, my story. I mean, yeah, every story is very unique, uh, uh, and you don't have to copy someone else's story. It may not work. The higher chances are it may not work, but some of the fundamental traits would definitely work. There is no replacement for hard work, and you need to put extra effort to ensure that you upskill and build a culture of upskilling in your daily life. The second and very important thing is the fact that we all come from very diverse set of backgrounds. I told my story. I didn't have, I lived in a small village in Kerala, but I didn't have access to very high quality education. I did have access to a government education, but there were no private schools or high quality education out there. I had to literally travel almost in my +1, +2 days, 2.5 hours bus ride to reach to a nearest town where at least I would have an access to an social funding kind of a setup. Things have changed completely now. Now everything is virtual. You have access to high quality content. You are in a moment where there is a significant growth happening out there in the market. India is shining. India is on a growth target, and you have immense opportunities out there. And do not see any limitation. I think that's extremely what I believe. And we have a culture of turning every challenge into an opportunity and scaling that across, right? That's fundamental in each one of us. It doesn't differentiate if you come from a different gender, that quality is subdued, right? It doesn't have. And so you need to make sure that you instill that ability to change some of these challenges into opportunity in everything that you do. I do understand some of you will not have exposure to a larger technology landscape, but with access to internet, make use of some of these conversations. Really get hands-on on some of the new technologies that are out there, and uh, I think that would be the starting point. And do not limit yourself. Try out something new. I think the moment you want to try out something, there are open servers which are out there. If you want to try out code, you will have different platforms out there which are you don't have to pay. If you want to learn something and check out some of the code, you have GitHubs available and different code repositories available where you could really learn about. And if your skill is completely different, that you are someone who would like to explore, look at the data, create analytics out of it. There are immense tools out there. So I think for learning, you don't have an excuse. All of us do not have an excuse for not learning something new, right? And make sure that you seize those opportunities and plan your day out. And fundamentally, one thing all of us need to really look at is what's the incremental value that I bring to me tomorrow, right? Am I a better self of mine tomorrow? I think what did I learn today which made me better? I think that's very, very fundamental in what we are doing, right? And opportunities will pursue. And the moment you build competencies and talent, these opportunities will definitely pursue. We are a high growth nation. I told you, right? We are the consumer of that. We have a big population. There's a huge incentive that we have to really pursue larger technology challenges and create opportunities for all of us. Again, I stressed on the need of the evolution of fintech space in India. We have close to 60% of our transactions are digital. And the adoption of mobile, I think we have close to 700 million mobile connections. Everyone has access to data. Everyone has access to different set of applications which are out there. So there is a very significant growth which is going to happen in India, and all of us are going. Even SAP is also with respect to our portfolio of products and talent out there in India. So the growth is for sure. There are opportunities for each one of us, but the crucial factor would be really to look at the opportunities, how well each one of us are qualified for that. And the moment for you at this point of time should be to really upskill yourself, gain new technology, explore new opportunities, and pursue those would be my simple mantra.
Thank you, NG. Thank you very much. And thanks a lot for actually guiding the students, telling them, sharing with them your experience, because I'm sure these words would help them in navigating their careers, would help them in choosing the right track. And I would just say one thing, that each and every experience of yours that you've shared, I'm sure they're definitely going to have a counter of they're going to face the similar kind of experience somewhere, the similar kind of situation. So they'll definitely have your wise words to know what to do. And we really look forward to hear a few questions from our trainers. We have few trainers under this TechSaksham program who are directly in contact with the students, who are skilling these students on different technologies. So they wanted to ask you a few questions. Kritika, can we connect with our trainers?
Sure. I think I am receiving certain questions in the chat box, but
Okay.
I would request them to come live and ask the questions themselves to Anzi, because it should be an expert to expert medium. So I would request, first of all, Ramar to join us and ask his question. Ramar, can we hear from you?
So we can have Ramar or Arpita, whosoever is able to connect.
Yes, Arpita is available. Arpita, you can share your question directly to Anzi. Please switch on your camera and speak up.
Yes. Hello. Hello. Good evening, everyone. So, question to Mr. Anzi is basically I'm the web trainer from the TechSaksham program, and I would like to know that what is the scope for the IT industry, or I would say what is the work mode for the next 5 years in the IT industry, like go the online mode or the offline?
So this is a situation relevant question right now, Anzi. Arpita wants to know what would be the prevalent mode of work for tech professionals in the future. Would it be work from home, or would it be hybrid? How are we proceeding?
I think this is a highly debated question at this point of time, right? I think for us, we believe it would be a hybrid model because we will have shorter frequencies where we will plug into the campuses or the workplace to connect and build on different products and ideation. So I think for us, we would believe that the hybrid is the way ahead. It gives enough flexibility in terms of plugging in from anywhere and working on your topics. At the same time, coming together also has a large incentive, right? I mean, when you meet people, when you have conversation, you get a new thinking, right? I also stress the purpose of networking, getting learned from each other, right? Getting information from each other. It's extremely crucial, right? But personally, I would feel it would be a hybrid model where you would plug into your campus or the offices for specific product definition, product design, or ideation stage. And once you are clear about what what you need to do, I think then you plug out and then work from anywhere and kind of execute on those actionables is something that we are seeing. It's too early for us to predict where we are heading towards, but I think with the evolution of technologies and platforms, I think we have a larger, more inclusive system in place, right, to get the work done. I think that would be the future. More hybrid, more coming together whenever there is a larger conversation on innovation and designs and thinking and product definition. That's where we would come.
Right. I think we have a question from Ramar, who's a master trainer. Before that, I have an adjacent question to Arpita's question. That now that we are thinking of switching to hybrid model for SAP, and most of the other companies, I think, might be also thinking for joining, going into full work from office mode. Again, we're back to the situation where we need to really, understand how as an employee and as an employer, we are dealing with burnouts. We're dealing with work-life balance. These things are very prevalent, especially in the technical industry where you have to be, as you said, nothing is relevant, which was relevant 2 years back. So you have to be on your toes. You have to do things on your toes. So how are we dealing with burnouts?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important because all of us are collecting systems and working to have impact and outcomes, right? I think the boundaries between work and home and are kind of blurred, very much blurred. I think what we have clearly done, very significant things that we have done, is also we have completely set aside one day as a focus day. So the Fridays, traditionally, every Friday we don't set up any meetings, and it's free for the employees to plan their activities around that. The second thing is also that for larger meetings, right, we kind of put a system in place that you can't exceed certain times, and between meetings there is always a buffer, which employees will not be able to turn around with. Right? So I think we also started doing a lot of virtual and different activities for employee wellness and health. I think this has really helped. I think the wellness aspect has to be really thought through, and clearly you should set aside specific time for sending out email. Also making sure that there is a structure in place for focused work, reduced meetings, and that has already fine-tuned in our organization, I would say.
Great. I think these are all very important and amazing steps, and these would actually help, especially with the meetings and the focus day. I think that's a wonderful idea. So as I said, we have a question from Ramar, who's a master trainer for artificial intelligence, and he wants to know that if a candidate, wants to switch from a technical role to a managerial role, what should be the correct way to do that? And I think you are the best person to answer this.
Yeah, fundamentally, I believe that it's not that compared to the past, right? You have a switch of technical to manager. I think everything around you is about technology, right? I mean, it's about technology, how you adapt to different technical scenarios and then kind of make use of those technology, right? So there is no clear differentiator that I switch from a technology to a manager role. I can proudly say that I can still code and create applications, and everything that I do in my role is also around technology, right? So fundamentally, that has to be deconstructed. That you have a manager role and you have a technology role. I think these are getting merged very significantly, and fundamentally, you will see more of this coming together in the future, right? What clearly differentiates is our ability to create clarity around some of these things and really help your team members on defining the future, defining what's coming up. I think that would clearly separate a leader or a manager role is the fundamental my belief. I think that has to be the test. For sure, I think your fundamental effort should be to make sure that you kind of upskill yourself, redefine or reinvent yourself every now and then, and that ideally would transport you to a top manager or a leadership position. And that's my belief. Uh,
Right. I think that's perfect. So so far we've realized that upskilling is the way towards success in any form and manner. Whatever you want to pursue, even if you want to pursue a technical intensive role or a managerial role, the best way to do it is through upskilling. Next question we have from Simi Chaturvedi, and I especially find this question very interesting because I understand that she's asking from the point of view as a woman, because TechSaksham is also focused on women. And when we talk about work-life balance, the concept is very different for men as compared to women. So how should women actually pursue their passion while handling their so-called society inflicted duties?
I think so. Yeah, this is also something that we all of us need to deconstruct, right? I mean, in terms of the boundaries. I mean, there are no boundaries because of your gender or generational or the diverse background that you are coming from, right? I think as new generation, I think it's up to you. I think that we have to together do it. I mean, nothing short of that. On passion, I think uh, for me, I think SAP is a place where I think the organization allows us to follow your passion and to again name. We have close to 15 interest groups working on different things that they like. Some of them like sports, some of them like quiz, some of them like literary activity, some of them like debating. I think we have individual clubs and everything for that. And if you personally look at it, right? I mean, if you join any organization, I think it has to be something that you always take to, right? I mean, you don't have to just remove your passion and then yeah, just focus on your work. I think there are places where you will identify that both of them will converge, and then that's when the magic would happen traditionally, right? Your passion and the work comes together, and then it will happen. But again, I could definitely have passion beyond technology or beyond something that I do want to work, right? I mean, that definitely helps. And these days, every organization recognizes the need to have a passion and bring that diverse perspective or the learnings to your work also. I think you will definitely able to do it, and just the management of these activities and the time management is something that you really need to take care. I think all of us have 24 hours, and then how do you really prioritize is extremely important, right? And that structure, the early that you bring in, the better. But in those prioritization also, I think every day you should really keep aside 30 or 40 minutes for upskilling and learn something new. I think that's something which is non-negotiable. Everything else can be negotiable, but just keep a tiny blocker in your calendar or in your schedule, 30 minutes. I would just like to explore something different and do something very different. And everything else has a room. And I think you will be able to do it. It's our belief which says that, yeah, because of the work stress, I will not be able to do it. But definitely, I think I have seen my colleagues doing, my friends doing it, pursuing their passion. It's not either or. It can be together and these can go together, and that's where you will enjoy your work and enjoy your passion. Completely.
Right. I think once we get out of that mental zone that something is blocking us, something is putting us in the box. Once we get out of the box that we've made in our head, we'll be able to get out of these norms. I think one question which is very special to my heart, especially Anzi, since I started working with TechSaksham, I've always been wondering about that. How can our students, and especially I would like to ask you this because you started your journey with a startup. How can our students, pursue a life, a career in startup, and move towards entrepreneurship?
I think, one of the notions I think we again really do need to look at is the impact that you wanted to create, right? I mean, do not go behind terms that which are contextual in the current context, but really look at what's the impact that you could create, right? I mean, uh, do not just think, yeah, I just wanted to do a startup. I need to now look out for the idea. I think the other way it should come in the sense that, okay, I have something in my mind which can really impact people and help people, right? And then I would really like to put it to a structure. And that should be the fundamental thing, or each one of us need to look at. Yeah, just define the idea, nurture the idea for some time, and think about the different use cases that will come up, and also think about the impact that it could create, right? And a lot of times, the impact that I could create with the organization that I have worked with. You don't have to start something new, right? For me, fundamentally, I believe I'm still a founder. I'm still able to run my team like a startup, right? You don't have to really literally start another company to do that. Everyone has that opportunity. Even if you join a large organization, you will still have an opportunity to redefine the way things are being done. You don't have to just pursue something else to really do that. I think that realization has to come in. For sure, everyone will have challenges. It doesn't matter whether you work for a small company or a large company, the challenges would be almost the same. You will have challenges managing the stakeholders, you will have challenges closing a deal, you will have challenges getting the first customers. I think these are part and parcel of any building exercise. And it doesn't matter whether you work for a startup or a large company or someone else, right? These challenges would be the same. I think if you have a larger purpose and an idea to create a large impact, I think that's where you need to really think through it. And the conversation should be about the impact that you could create, not the valuation of the company, not the amount of money that I could raise or the money that I could make, right? The idea should be about the influence and the impact that I could create to the society and the people and the businesses around. I think fundamentally that's clear. Then you will have a right product market fit, and then you could build a startup. But I do not see that startups are the only way. I think everything that you do have an entrepreneur mindset because you believe that this is my product, this is how I want to take it to the market. And then everything changes, and I still believe I'm a startup founder. I'm the team that I work with, it works like a startup. I mean, in SAP also it's a collection of hundreds of thousands of startups out there. So you have an opportunity to lead the way you want to create that impact.
Good to hear, Ramsey. Good to hear. I think we have our master trainer Bharti, and she has a question for you. Bharti, I would invite you to. Yeah, she's here. Please share your question.
So, hi Anzi, this is Bharti here. So, I am associated with TechSaksham program as a technical trainer. And I had a great journey with these girls. And while talking to them, I get this question a lot. Let's say as a fresher, when I'm applying for multiple job opportunities. So, there are good candidates who are getting, I think, more than 3 or 4 offers in hand. But sometimes they don't understand that how to find a good balance between a profile and maybe a company brand. Will they go for an MNC or will they go for a desired profile? So what can be the thing that they need to understand, that how to start their career, how to choose I think there is no perfect thing, but how to get started with the career? So how to choose the things?
Yeah.
Thank you.
For me, I think if I really look at the opportunity that extended to me, right? Primarily look at the profile, what I'm planning to do. And then what's the impact that I could create if it's a new product development or existing product development, re-innovation. I think that really you need to think through. And you also need to look at the culture of the organization, right? How it enables the people to do different things and switch across different career options, right? Talk to your friends who are working in those organizations, reach out to some of the leaders in those organizations, how the culture is built and the diversity of the people out there. I think these are factors traditionally I would really look at if I am a fresher. I think probably the fundamental thing is that you would find the right opportunity, right? I mean, it's about finding, just like getting the escape velocity, right? Every orbit will give you a kind of an energy to move to the next orbit. And just like the solar system, you will be able to shift tracks and opportunities and do that. I think deconstruct the mental model that is there. As a fresher, your objective is to learn and study and build that, instill a culture of learning into your everyday life. That's a purpose. And sometimes you will learn it more, you learn it faster. Then you realize that I need to move to a different profile, and that's where I could add more value, the impact that I could create. Then you will definitely move to something, right? Some of the organization like SAP, where I joined as an early talent, and I spent 15 years there. In the last 15 years, I changed 9 times my profile. So every time I change a profile, I'll become completely low, because that's a new workplace, new system in place. Everyone is highly talented. Then I have to again reskill and learn things and get low. I think that's fundamental. That's there. I think fresher, or that's the starting of your career, right? And your focus should be on learning. How much I will be able to learn, and what are the growth options that organization extends to you, should be one thing or two things that's fundamental for your decision to pick that organization, I would say.
Thank you so much. And I really understand this thing, and I really agree to this point, because in my career, I always appreciate this thing that our focus should be on learning. And if we learn, then we can achieve anything. So thank you so much.
I think we have come to a very sweet end of this very informative session. Thank you so much, Anzi, for your time, and thank you to the team for their valuable time and efforts, and all the participants who joined. And even though Gunjan could not join us because of technical glitches, he was the mind behind the entire session, and we thank him for his support and motivation. And we look forward for him to push us to conduct more such sessions. Now, to commemorate this session, I would request all the participants to switch on their cameras so that we can take a group picture and share it on multiple mediums. Everybody, please switch on your cameras.
Yeah, maybe
all the students, yes, we can see bright and beautiful faces. So all the students were part of this event, and we would want everybody's photograph here.
And again, last couple of things. I mean, I have 2 daughters, and the way I would tell them is that the next decade belongs to you, and you will be on the driver's seat, and I will be on the backside. And that's exactly what I wanted you to also live that, because the next couple of years will be yours, and better make use of it and change the world. And you have a huge, huge opportunity out there. I think you have to seize those opportunities and make use of it. Nothing short of it. We all come from very diverse background. The background could be something gives us energy to move forward, because once at a point of time, everything I do is an increment to where I come from on what I do, right? I mean, that's fundamental belief one of you should have, because everything that you do should be an increment of your past. And if you believe in that, there is going to be absolute magic out there.
That's beautiful. That's beautifully put, Anzi. And you were very motivational. And thank you so much for your time. I hope all the students have captured this opportunity and got a window of insight of how the future might look. Have we taken the screen caps? I've taken a few. Do we need to take more?
I think this is enough. And thank you very much, Andy. Thanks a lot for your valuable time. The entire session, I was glued to what you were speaking about, the insights that you gave to us, and also gave us a blueprint of how our future would be. Rather, I would say how these students, how our young generation's future would be. And we look forward to a few such sessions from you. I request you for your valuable time once again in future, in case you would be able to. We would love to host sessions with you, and I'm sure we would have a different set of audience, different, I would say, our next batch who's going to join the TechSaksham. They would be equally happy and elated to hear from you. So thank you very much once again.
My honor, and thank you. Thanks everyone for.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Kritika.
And I think we would try for an offline session this time.
Yes, we would definitely. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharti. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.